Welcome back to the second part of my walk around Rochester. On our way down to the cathedral, we passed Salisbury Villa on our left, a distinguished Grade II listed Georgian house. And before we reached the cathedral, we walked under an arch full of beautiful pink cherry blossom, directly in front of St. Nicholas Church. As I walked under the tree and looked to my left, I spotted another nod to Charles Dickens. There's a cocktail bar here called Jaggers, and Jaggers was a character in Great Expectations. Before we entered that gate into the High Street, I wanted to have a look at the cathedral graveyard and a Catalpa tree, which is outside the cathedral. As I walked up the path to join my friends outside of the cathedral, I also noticed that in the graveyard there were some magnificent magnolias. And whilst the others were looking at the cathedral, I went and had a look at these gorgeous trees, which only flower in the month of April and last for a few weeks, so you have to be really quick to catch them. Along with cherry blossoms, they really are one of my favourite spring trees. And their petals left a beautiful pink carpet on the graveyard grass. This graveyard is also the final resting place of author William Coles Finch, known for his works on Kent's history and architecture. Here we see the Catalpa tree outside Rochester Cathedral, and it's a cherished and historically significant feature of the city. The Rochester Catalpa is believed to be one of the oldest of its kind in the UK. Also known as the Indian bean tree, it is rare in Britain. In 2015, the tree suffered significant damage when it split in half, and Medway Council's conservation measures have protected the tree from further harm. These efforts aim to preserve the tree's health and ensure its continued presence as a local landmark. We're about to walk through College Gate, a historic structure in Rochester, immortalised by Charles Dickens in The Mystery of Edwin Drood when he renamed it Jasper's Gate House. John Jasper, the choir master, lives here above the gate with shadowy rooms overlooking the cathedral graveyard. Another fictional character from Edwin Drood lives just round the corner. Mr. Tote's house was the home of the chief verger. He and his wife reside in a house adjacent to the cathedral where they rent rooms to characters such as John Jasper. This house is the last building mentioned in Dickens's writings as he passed away before completing the novel. And now we find ourselves in the historic Rochester High Street. Unlike many towns, Rochester avoided massive post-war redevelopment, preserving much of its historic character. Today, the High Street is a mixture of boutiques, tea rooms, bookshops, pubs, and historic sites, all framed by ancient architecture. And everywhere you look, there are nods to Charles Dickens. During the medieval times, the High Street developed alongside the cathedral and the castle as a marketplace and a main thoroughfare. During the Tudor and Stuart eras, merchants and wealthy townspeople built fine timbered houses, and inns sprung up to serve pilgrims visiting the cathedral. When we visited Rochester, we were lucky enough to see the Palm Sunday Parade. This is a cherished annual tradition that brings the community together to commemorate the beginning of Holy Week. The parade moves along Rochester High Street, creating a vibrant and reflective atmosphere, and the journey culminates at Rochester Cathedral, where a special Palm Sunday service is held. The event is open to all, and it is a significant part of the cathedral's Holy Week observances. It symbolises the entry of Jesus into Jerusalem, with participants often carrying palm branches or crosses. And it involves members of the choir and of the clergy from the cathedral. I was really glad that I managed to capture this traditional event on my camera, and I was in the right place at just the right time. Now if we go back to the buildings, much of the High Street structure today reflects 17th century rebuilding, with brick replacing older timber structures. In the 18th and 19th centuries, Rochester flourished as a coaching town. The High Street became packed with coaching inns, serving passengers and mail between London and the Channel. And beautiful Georgian architecture began to replace some older buildings, giving parts of the High Street a very elegant and orderly look. And as always, at the heart of the community of Rochester is the Cathedral. As well as all the restaurants and shops in Rochester High Street, this is a place for people who love history and vintage things. There are plenty of bric-a-brac shops here where you can browse to your heart's content and maybe pick up a bargain or two. And if you're a lover of anything vintage, be it clothing, books or toys, then Rochester High Street is definitely the place to come and have a browse. Just along the road is another historic building called the Six Travellers Inn. It was a charitable foundation founded by Richard Watts, who lived in Satis House in the 1500s. It featured in one of Charles Dickens' short stories, and today it's also a museum. But it was originally a place where travellers could lay their head down for the night and pay 4p for the privilege. There's another set of almshouses just down the road in Rochester High Street, and these are really interesting. The French hospital almshouses house Huguenot refugees from France, and the charity has been doing this since the 1700s. The original almshouses were in London, but in the 1950s they located right here to Rochester High Street in this beautiful set of buildings. As my friends and my partner and I walked further down Rochester High Street, my partner was really pleased to see that they have a comic shop here because he's a comic book aficionado, so I think we'll be coming back to visit Rochester again. As we walked further down the street, there was one more place that my friends wanted to show us, and that was Eastgate House, which was built by Sir Peter Buck in the 1590s. It was also Miss Twinkerton's Academy for Young Ladies in the Charles Dickens novel The Mystery of Edwin Drood. And it was also used as the model for Westgate House in the Pickwick Papers. There are many events held here, and it's definitely well worth a visit because you can also walk around the beautiful gardens and see the Swiss chalet where Charles Dickens wrote some of his novels, which has been moved here from his original house. I hope you've enjoyed coming on this wonderful walk with me down historic Rochester High Street. I've got one more video to show you from my walk around Rochester, so I hope you'll join me soon. And don't forget to check out Walks with Grandma on Instagram and Facebook. Thanks for watching.